And welcome to Rice-Eccles Stadium, Salt Lake, a Pac-12 opener between these squads. It's the Trojans from USC and 24th ranked unbeaten Utah. It is a cold and rainy night, temperature in the high 40s as we welcome you inside. Joe Davis with Brady Quinn. Jenny Taft joins us in just a moment. Utah's off to this unbeaten start. USC is 1-2. I know they've faced one of the toughest schedules in the country, but this is USC. 1-2 is not good enough around there, so here they are already with a quarterback change.
Yeah, head coach Clay Helton talked about his offense needing a spark, so they decided to go to the redshirt freshman Sam Darnold. His first start, night game on the road versus the number 24 team in the country. That's a tall order, especially when you talk about this defense he's got to go up against.
Yeah, how about this Utah defense? One of the most disruptive in the country through the first few games this year.
Yeah, 15 sacks, a total second in the country, and they really come at you from all angles. 4, 5, 6-man rushes. They try to collapse the pocket out around you. They get hits on the quarterback, and it really just wears away by the end of the game. This is an incredibly tough defense to go up against. They disguise some of the pressures and coverages as well, so Sam Darnold could be in for a long night.
Typical Utah, right? I mean, this is what Kyle Whittingham's teams are known for, the defensive side of the ball, but a new quarterback for the Utes who they're excited about, and Troy Williams.
Yeah, Troy Williams adding a different element to the passing game for Utah that they didn't have previously with Travis Wilson. It's the deep ball. They've been able to hit a number of them so far, and his favorite target, Tim Patrick. He's the big play wide receiver Utah tries to go to in the clutch situations.
Yeah, number 2 receiver in the Pac-12 through the first few weeks and trying to get some big plays against a USC defense that has given them up over the first few weeks of this season. It's the Trojans and the Utes on a Friday night in Salt Lake City on the other side of this break. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico, and USC takes the field here in Salt Lake City. Utah takes the field unbeaten, 24th in the country, entering this Pac-12 opener. It is raining. It feels like 44 degrees, unseasonably cold here in Salt Lake City. And right down in the middle of it, third member of our crew, Jenny Taft.
Well, Joe, the weather forecast predicted this all week. We knew we were going to see rain, but that is not something that USC sees a lot of. But Clay Helton wanted to make sure that his guys would be ready for this all week. They had practices with wet balls. They had buckets of water on hand to make sure his guys were not surprised by any of the elements. And something that surprised me about some of these Trojans, they told me that they like playing on the road. A lot of them said that they thrive off the idea of going into someone else's house and getting the job done. Joe, it's not something you hear there very often.
No, and they're getting used to it with his third top 25 opponent in the first 4 weeks, all away from Los Angeles. Kyle Whittingham is the longest tenured coach in the Pac-12. He's in his 12th season, 2 wins short of 100 in his Utah career. This series goes back more than 100 years. These teams meeting for the 15th time. Last year, really similar situation when they faced off, and USC upset third-ranked Utah and changed the direction of both team seasons. You've got Utah now trying to reverse that, and USC hoping for more of the same, sitting at 1-2 and trying to avoid its first 1-3 start since 2001. While Utah tries to move to 4-0 for the 4th consecutive season. Utah won the toss and deferred, so the Trojans will get it to begin. And Adoree Jackson, one of the nation's best return men, goes back. 5 career return touchdowns, including one in this stadium 2 years ago as a freshman. Hayes Hickens sends it away. Off we go from Salt Lake City. And it sails over Jackson's head. USC to begin at the 25-yard line. Statistically, the worst offense in the Pac-12 so far, so they try and jolt things by bringing in a freshman quarterback.
Yeah, a freshman quarterback who's going to bring a little bit of a spark to this USC offense. He's a little bit more athletic than Max Brown. He does a good job in their zone read running scheme, but he's also not afraid to take chances. Talked to some of the wide receivers on this team. They said he kind of reminds them a little bit of Aaron Rodgers. Puts a lot of zip on the football. and he's good anticipating them coming out of their routes.
So the first career start for the redshirt freshman from Capistrano Beach, California. Justin Davis straight ahead, and not much room on USC's first play. Out of the teeth of that Utah defense, a program known for its defense and one of the most disruptive in the country so far.
And Lo Latulele, he's going to be the guy that's really the anchor of this defensive line. He demands double teams because he gets so much penetration, helps free up the linebackers for Utah to make plays.
On 2nd and 7. Darnold looks to throw for the first time. Steps out of pressure. Extending the play. And throwing it out of bounds. 3rd down.
This is one of the elements that Sam Darnold brings to this USC offense. Max Brown, 6 times he's been sacked this year. Sam Darnold hasn't played as much, but he hasn't been sacked either. And it's because of his athleticism and his ability to get out of the way of trouble. Obviously, not necessarily a positive play here, but he doesn't do anything to hurt their team either. Biggest question is how is he going to be able to handle the pressure that this Utah defense is going to bring on 3rd down?
10 sacks last week, 15 total this year. On 3rd and 7, they twist and bring only 4, and a strong arm strike to Juju Smith-Schuster, who stays on his feet, and they say that he stepped out at the 43. Last year's leading receiver in the Pac-12, but off to a painfully slow start this year.
Juju Smith-Schuster working one-on-one on Brian Allen on the outside. Too much of a cushion, and really this is the spark they've needed out of Juju Smith. He's been struggling to get things going, catching the football, a couple 50-50 balls last week that he wasn't able to come down with.
Darnold taking a one-on-one shot, and it's knocked away. Jalen Green, the intended receiver, and Brian Allen jarred it out of there. 2nd and 10.
Well, Brian Allen's got tremendous size for a cornerback. He's 6'3". It's seldom seen. Long reach, long arms, but did a nice job of being able to throw his hands in there late. That's what they call late hands to disrupt the completion.
On 2nd down, Davis with a big hole, and Justin Davis lost the football. They said that he was down, and a 1st down to the 42.
Runner was ruled down prior to loss of possession. 1st down USC.
Davis moves over 2,000 yards for his USC career.
Yeah, USC, you're going to see a heavy dose of the run game tonight as we watch as Davis goes to the ground. And I think that ball's coming out before his knee touched. Now, he was putting his hand out as well, but it's got to be his forearm or elbow in order for him to be down. And it was called down on the field, but here's the thing, Joe. This will be reviewable.
And they have already called for a review.
And it appears that Hunter Dimick actually recovered this, so this is going to be Utah's football.
Now, because he was whistled dead, it has to be a clear recovery in order on replay to give it to Utah, and it looked like it was.
That was pretty definitive. So take another look. From this angle, you can see the ball starts to come out. Chase Hansen does a nice job of, call that heavy hand, getting a hand on the bulk of the football to knock it out. Utah does such a good job of rallying to the ball here. Look at Hunter Dimick leaping over Brian Allen to follow the ball downfield. That's just tremendous hustle.
From a defensive end, 15 yards downfield.
Had 2 sacks last week, and it's in large part because he's relentless in his pursuit of the football.
Terry Layden, our head referee, talking with David Lambros, who's the replay official tonight.
Looks like he's having a hard time getting to the buttons with that plastic
After
bag.
further review, the ball was fumbled and recovered by the defense. 1st down Utah.
More the same for this disruptive Utah defense, which forces its 9th turnover of the season, top 10 in the country.
Not the start that the USC offense was looking forward to. They've had a lot of mistakes throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. Sam Darnold comes in, gets some things going with this offense, started moving the ball, but then shoot themselves in the foot, turning the football over early. Now it's Troy Williams' opportunity.
So this offense begins its first drive from the 41. And they They go downhill on the first play to Zach Moss, and the former Utah Utes, Stevie Tui Kolovatu, makes the tackle. We take a look at what we're watching for when Utah's got it.
Well, Tim Patrick is the big play wide receiver for Utah on the outside. He's going to be covered by number 2, Adoree Jackson, the outstanding cornerback for USC. He'll be shadowing him all over the field with the exception of the slot. It should be a fun matchup to watch throughout the night.
Trying to limit some of the big plays USC's been allowing. They've allowed 8 plays of 20 yards or more already this year. The true freshman Moss again twirls his way close to a first down. Leon McQuaid with a tackle, but he's got enough to move the chains. Troy Williams, first-year JUCO transfer, who began his career at Washington, then spent last year at Santa Monica Junior College, but grew up in Southern California, a USC fan.
And he brings a different element to this Utah offense that they didn't have in past years with quarterback Travis Wilson, the deep ball. He has tremendous touch and a really strong arm to go to stretch the field, and it opens up the passing game for Utah.
USC territory for the first time. Moss gets a seam, and Zach Moss has another first down to the 36 before Talon Marshall sandwich him.
But Utah's been having a lot of success in the running game, running to the edges. Moss is patient. He lets the blocking downfield develop, and that's another key for Utah. They do a good job blocking downfield.
Moss again, this time for 3 or 4. Rasheem Green and Malik Dorton combining on the tackle. Well, Moss part of the running back by committee now after Joe Williams retired. Moss, McCormick, Shine will all see carries. They're really excited about this true freshman from Florida. Moss again with the lead blocker in front, but USC surrounds it, limits him to a gain of 3. Tui Kolovatu in there with Hutchings, and it's 3rd down and 4.
USC usually tends to mix up some of their looks, some of the pressures on 3rd down. Hard part about going up against Troy Williams is really his ability to escape and get outside the pocket. He's athletic enough to hurt you with his legs, but he's also lethal once he scrambles throwing the football. And 3rd down, who's one of their favorite targets? Tim Patrick, number 12.
On 3rd and 4. Williams pulls straight ahead, first down. Iman Marshall with a tackle, but they convert with a gain of 6 on 3rd and 4.
This is part of their zone read running scheme, and Williams is patient, then pulling the football, and you can see him just enough elusiveness in the hole to be able to sidestep the tackler and get the first down.
He grew up rooting for the Trojans, but never heard much interest from him. Went to Washington, started his career there, started 1 game as a freshman, and then transferred and tore it up at the JUCO level last year. The 23, he keeps it again and spins his way into the arms of Rasheem Green on the 7th consecutive Utah run play.
It's a bit cold out, wet, rainy. Both teams clearly want to develop the running game before maybe they start utilizing some of the play action pass. And as Utah creeps into the red zone, one of the biggest keys for them tonight will be executing at a higher level. Left some opportunities on the table last week versus San Jose State, not capitalizing, getting touchdowns, and instead field goals.
Yeah, as far as touchdown percentage in the red zone, they're the worst team in the Pac-12 so far, and one of the worst nationally. 2nd down at 5, another run play. This time Moss thrown down by Cameron Smith, the Pac-12's leading tackler, and it's 3rd down.
Cameron Smith, who really had a coming out party last year as a freshman in this matchup. 3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown, but he comes off the field on 3rd down. They want to get a little bit faster, a little bit smaller, more athletic on the defensive side of the ball for USC and try to match up with some of those slot wide receivers for Utah.
Here's those numbers you were talking about. The red zone offense for Utah has been an issue. And looking at 3rd down and 4 on the 17. It's Moss trying to power his way to the marker, but he won't get it. So USC slams the door, makes it 4th down and 1.
Pretty conservative play calling. You think you give Troy Williams an opportunity to take advantage of the height advantage they have on the outside, whether that's Tim Patrick or Jalen Singleton, but with 4th and 1, Utah's going to go for it. And the way they've been running the football, why not?
Yeah, so conservative on 3rd down, aggressive on 4th. Opening drive for the Utes, 4th down and 1. Moss straight ahead, has a 1st down. Hutchings with a tackle after a gain of 3. But the drive keeps on rolling for Utah.
This is really why Utah's been doing a good job the first 3 weeks of the season moving the football. An offensive line has done a good job getting push up front. Led by center J.J. Dielman, does a good job controlling everything, making all the identifications and run blocking scheme.
Troy McCormick, his first carry of the game, not much there. Cameron Smith in there on the tackle, and it's 2nd and 9. Already 8 carries for Moss, and now they bring Troy McCormick in at running back, who is their leading rusher so far. Back from an injury that had him sitting out all last season. Williams keeps it, gets a block, gets a touchdown. Evan Moiai sprung him, and Utah strikes on its opening possession.
Well, a little misdirection with the zone read scheme, but watch the tight end, Moiai. He comes out leading the way. Troy Williams with a decisive cut upfield. He does the rest.
Extra point coming from Andy Phillips, who it seems like has been here for about a decade. And Utah has a 7-0 lead, trying to start 4-0 for the 4th consecutive season. Troy Williams is in the end zone, and it's 7-0 Utes. Utah forces a USC turnover and then a 12-play drive, all runs to get in the end zone.
It's incredible, not one passing play. Thought Utah would sprinkle it in a little bit, clearly trying to set the tone early with this USC team that's struggled to find momentum, struggled to find a spark really on either side of the football.
Adoree Jackson goes back, trying to give him one in the return game. Hicken sailed it over his head the first time. This time Jackson has a shot. Here comes Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson! There goes Adoree! His 6th career return touchdown! And he provides the spark USC needs.
Just blazing speed from Adoree Jackson. And watch this open up like the Red Sea. Look at that. Jackson has the speed, but really once he gets past the initial blocking, there's no one there. And it's just Adoree Jackson in the end, really providing the spark we just talked about USC's looking for.
Needed it badly. And an extra point for Matt Baumeister to tie the game at 7. I think this is going to be a pretty fun way to spend our Friday night.
I think so as well.
Utah in the end zone on its opening drive, but Jackson right back at him to even the issue. Why kick to Adoree Jackson? This game's tied at 7. You'd think they'd learned. Now this is not what you just saw. This is the last time there was a USC-Utah game here in Salt Lake City. It was a blackout then too, and he took one back 100 yards.
Yeah, sideline return. This one tonight was a middle return, but it's funny when you go back and you watch. I mean, it's almost identical. Hayes Hicken was trying to kick it out of the end zone, but just a disaster. As soon as you saw Adoree Jackson catch that football, you started to hold your breath thinking, oh no, he's going to take that to the house.
And he did. 6th career return touchdown for Adoree Jackson. We knew special teams could play a role in this game, and it already has, as Bormeister sends it away to Butler Bird. That one backs him into the end zone, and we'll start at the 25. How about this reaction after the freshman Hayes Hicken sends this away?
You could call this a freshman mistake, but I mean, here's the hard part. Either you directional kick it, or you just try to boot it out of the end zone. Look at his mouth. He's saying, go, get it out of there. I mean, because he knew it was short, and at that point, he knew he was in trouble.
So back at square one, 7-7, and a Utah defense that was just grinded on for 12 consecutive run plays heads right back out there with Utah to begin at the 25. Make that 13 consecutive run plays to begin the game. And Marvell Tell, a safety who they think has NFL potential, comes up to drop him for a short gain.
I really like Marvell Tell. You know, he's aggressive. He's a good tackler in space. Talk to the coaching staff. They say he's got a good skill set. He just needs more experience, because there's no doubt with his size and frame, he's got the ability to go to the next level. The biggest thing for him, in my opinion, he's got to have better eye discipline. I mean, he has to continue to keep reading his keys and not missing up his assignments from time to time.
That was Tell with a blown coverage last week on Christian McCaffrey's first long touchdown. Williams looks to throw, and his first pass of the day finds his tight end Evan Moiai, who had the key block on his touchdown run. This is a gain of 9 and a Utah first down.
And really, that was just a good job by Troy Williams, looking off the defense and allowing Moiai that open space in the middle of the field. Kind of looked them off to the right-hand side, came back to the middle. There was Moiai wide open.
He's one of the many guys this Utah offense has gotten back from missing pretty much all of last season with injuries. For Moiai, it was an ankle. Back-to-back throws now. Down the sideline. Tim Patrick. Incomplete. Jonathan Lockett, stride for stride, make that Corey Butler Bird they shot it for, and it's 2nd and 10.
And usually Troy Williams does a better job of putting more trajectory on the football and giving his wide receivers an opportunity. You seldom see him overthrow them at times. Had a clean pocket. Look back at last week. Didn't have quite as much success throwing downfield, but those 3 completions right here ended up being 101 yards, 2 of which were to Tim Patrick.
And an element they haven't really had here in a while. Put Fulks in motion and handed it off to Zach Moss. It bounced to the right side, got banged out of bounds by Iman Marshall, 3rd and short.
And if you're the USC defense, you got to start mixing some things up front. Change up the front, run some stunts or games. Maybe a bare front where you're covering up both guards in the center. Because right now the Utah offense is in a rhythm, is in a flow, and you haven't been able to do anything to stop them.
12 of their 14 plays have been on the ground. 3rd down and 1. Out of the gun. First carry, Armand Shine. First down, plowing his way into USC territory. Sophomore out of Oakland, California. First-year JUCO transfer gets 8.
Look at the battle up front. And look at that Utah offensive line. They're winning. The double teams working up to the 2nd level to get to the linebackers are helping to pave the way and create holes for the Utah running backs.
Shine kind of came out of the middle of nowhere last week for that big game against San Jose State, joining Moss and McCormick in running back rotation. On first down, Shine again. And a big hole ushers into the 41. Porter Gustin makes the tackle. It's 2nd and 4 or 5. Utah quickly back on the ball, and it's Shine again. Gustin another tackle. The Utah native Porter Gustin, the 2nd leading tackler, is really excited about coming home to play the Utes. Chose USC over Utah at the last moment.
It's obviously nice to have multiple running backs who can come in and continue to give you that burst. None of them get worn down because they rotate 3 different guys in there.
From the 37, they swing it outside. Corey Butler-Bird made a man miss. Thrown down by Marvell Tell after 9, and it's 2nd and 1. Made his season debut last week after he was suspended for the first 2 games, and gives them an element they really don't have.
Yeah, and the coaching staff talked about wanting to get the ball to Butler-Bird on the perimeter early and often. He's a guy who's extremely tough to bring down in space. You saw right there, he's able to make one move and quickly get up field. He's not the biggest guy, but he's tough to catch in space.
2nd down and a yard. Utah with a touchdown on its first possession, and on the move again. Zach Moss, room off the left side for a 1st down, but the ball came out. The ball is still loose. USC's got it, and Adoree Jackson is putting his stamp on this game. A kick return touchdown, and now a fumble recovery.
Now, it's not raining at this current moment, but Zach Moss, the true freshman, has to do a better job of ball security. As you watch Cam Smith roll over top, he starts to jar the ball loose, and guess who's there to pick it up? Adoree Jackson.
And a timeout on the field. Remember, all turnovers are taken a look at upstairs, but that one looks like it'll hold.
Well, let's take a look at that last fumble by Zach Moss. He is not considered down as Cameron Smith falls to the ground and Zach Moss is on top of him. That ball is still live. And it's actually Nwosu, number 42. If you watch his left hand, he rips the ball out, and Jackson was able to recover.
And so USC's offense back out there, and a big hole for Justin Davis. 1st down to USC to the 49. The senior out of Stockton, California, goes for 19. And USC quickly back on the ball. They'll do this time and again after big plays. This time it's shut down. Stop made by Hunter Dimmick, and it's 2nd and 9.
And that's this up-tempo offense that offensive coordinator T. Martin likes to implement. They've got a one-word system. I mean, they call one word and it tells everyone what to do. They'll do that after big plays from time to time.
It's been a while since his offense has been on the field. They turned it over on their first drive, and then Adoree Jackson got him some more rest with a kick return touchdown. Darnold sets his feet, perfectly thrown to Stephen Mitchell. 1st down to the 27, 24 yards, and he sure looked calm letting that one go.
Well, we talked about one of the best attributes of Sam Darnold is his ability to anticipate. Stephen Mitchell wasn't open at first. Darnold trusted him, threw the ball to the open space in the middle of the field, and Mitchell found it.
4 receivers into the wide side. Darnold pumps that way, takes off. 1st down to the 15, but he lost the football. Marcus Williams is on it. No signal yet. Now they'll say that he was down. And now all the officials coming together.
Well, this is the element that Sam Darnold brings to the USC offense, but that ball, again, it looked like it was coming out on the way down. I don't believe Darnold's knee was down before that ball started to come loose.
Yeah, one official signaled down, but then there's nothing beyond that besides this meeting.
The runner was down at the 15-yard line. 1st down USC.
Take another look, and the ball is coming out right now, and his knee is not down. This should be overturned.
And they are going to review, and I bet you're right. This is going to be our 3rd fumble of the 1st quarter.
And it's not raining now, but that doesn't mean those balls don't get slick when they're still sitting on a wet field. I mean, it's field turf, so the field's going to drain well. But it's still not going to be completely dry. Those balls are going to be a little bit slick. And sometimes as a ball carrier, you don't necessarily expect the ball to be slick because there's not rain. You expect it to be dry. That's not the case. Sometimes it comes up and there's still some slick parts on the ball.
Our rules expert Mike Pereira watching back in Los Angeles. What do you see on this one, Mike?
Well, as we look at it, we see it the way you do. It appears that the ball is coming out of his arm before the knee hits the ground. And then there's the second part of this. Let's remember they ruled him down, so you have to have a clear recovery by the defense in the continuing action after the ball comes out, which you do. You can see right there that Utah recovers. So I agree with you guys. I think it's a fumble, and I think they'll give the ball to Utah at the spot where he picks it up. He gets no advance. It's dead at that point, but I think they'll give the ball to Utah.
And credit Sunia Tautsioli, jarring that ball loose, and Marcus Williams there to pick it up.
Review, the ball was fumbled and recovered by Utah. The advance after recovering the ball is not allowed. First down, Utah.
One of the bright spots over the 1-2 start for USC was taking care of the ball. They only turned it over 3 times, but they fumbled twice in the first quarter here in Salt Lake City.
You're watching a Fox Sports presentation. Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in our program.
FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. We're tied at 7 after a quarter. Troy Williams with a touchdown run, and Dory Jackson with a kickoff return touchdown. How about the difference in number of plays and time of possession in that first quarter?
Just dominating ball possession right now, winning the turnover margin. This is starting to look a little bit like last week, Stanford versus this USC defense, and you kind of wonder too, after a physical battle like that, if they weren't really able to respond physically, being a day shorter for preparation.
After that 27-10 loss last week, Zach Moss probing for space, unable to find any. And a gain of 1. 3rd down and 7 to begin this second quarter. First quarter stats. Now USC is averaging 10 yards per play, but they're not finishing drives. 2 fumbles.
Yeah, and that's really been the hard part for this USC offense. Clay Helton talked about it. They haven't really been moving the football. Now they're moving the football. They're just not finishing off drives, and they're hoping Sam Darnold could bring that to this offense.
Trojans show pressure on 3rd and 7. They bring it. Picked up, giving Williams time to get rid of it, but incomplete. Uchenna Nwosu applying the pressure and making it 4th down.
Look at Moss here. He's going to come up and try to lay a block on Nwosu, chopping him down. That's what they call that. Troy Williams does a good job of moving in the pocket, although I don't think that would have been a conversion anyways. The USC defense, Chris Hawkins was sitting there waiting for him.
And there is Adoree Jackson. Mitch Wishnowsky, number 1 in the country in yards per punt so far in his first season here at Utah, and he does it again. 60 yards, pinpoint down to the 2.
And it's the hang time. I mean, that's what makes him so special. Just launches it up here at altitude.
And so USC with Juju Smith-Schuster and the offense backed into its own end when you come back.
Really should be unbeaten.
Yeah.
Up with a controversy at the end of that Central Michigan game.
All right, so the Trojans backed into their own end from the 3 with a 1st down after the Wishnowsky 60-yard punt. First carry for Ronald Jones. And Cody Barton grabbed the hold of him, went for a ride, and a gain of 3. Jones was the leading rusher as a true freshman for USC last year. Set a freshman record for the Trojans, nearly 1,000 yards. Darnold to throw on 2nd down with a flag down. He goes down the sideline and incomplete, but another flag flies. Hatfield in coverage on Rodgers. So flag at the line of scrimmage on the snap, and then one where the ball was thrown to.
I wonder if it's going to be Tyler Petit who shifted out. I don't know if he got fully set before they snapped the football.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offside. Number 22 of the defense, his penalty is declined. Pass interference. Number 13 of the defense, that penalty is accepted, 15 yards. automatic first down.
And so it was a free play, and they took advantage, taking the PI call.
And really, when you look at Hatfield, he never turns back to look for the football. Obviously, there's a lot of contact as well. You see him, he has both hands on Rodgers, doesn't really allow him to make a play on the ball, and that's going to get called 10 times out of 10.
That's the first game this season for Hatfield, the team captain, but he sat out the first few with an injury. So the Trojans with some breathing room. First down to the 21. Darnold throws and has a first down. Dominique Hatfield stopping their leading receiver, Darius Rogers, after a dozen.
And Rodgers has really stepped up this season. Juju Smith, the most talented. But Rodgers has been the guy that's been targeted the most because so much attention and focus on Juju.
On first down, Ronald Jones got hit in the backfield, stayed on his feet to make something out of nothing. Peter Taumoepenu with a tackle, and it's second down.
Well, this up-tempo offense kind of caught Utah off guard a little bit. They really had no one on the outside. You can see Chase Hansen pointing to the outside, number 22. Really, if not for the defensive line keeping Jones at the inside, this could have been a huge play for USC.
And somehow Taumoepenu still made the tackle after unable to wrap up when he first made contact. On 2nd and 8, Utes bringing pressure and incomplete. Nowhere close to Smith-Schuster, third down.
And that's part of the miscommunication that's going to happen when you have a change of quarterback. I talked to Clay Helton, he said, you know, Max Brown isn't going to throw to Juju the same way that Cody Kessler would. Former USC quarterback, now with the Cleveland Browns.
Making a start this weekend, huh?
Yeah, well, down in Miami, we'll see how that goes.
Third down and 8 for the Trojans. Against only a four-man rush, Darnold steps up and finds Smith-Schuster for a first down. Up to midfield on a gain of 14 to keep the drive moving.
When Smith-Schuster does a good job finding the soft area in the zone coverage. Watch him wrap around Justin Thomas.
Ronald Jones fighting second effort for 5.
Those are the type of big plays they're going to need, though, on the outside. USC can try to continue to run the football, but try to look at that last reception. Watch him curl into the soft part of zone coverage. Experienced player, knows when to settle down, and Sam Darnold was smart enough to find him.
Jones again. Flipped down by Sunia Tautioli, and it's 3rd and short.
USC hasn't had any problems running the football. There's a huge size advantage of their offensive line versus the Utah defensive line. They're utilizing that right now.
On 3rd and 2, Jones gets hit, and the ball comes free. And they've turned it over again. The 3rd USC fumble of the night.
Again, they get a hand on the ball carrier's arm. Jones goes down. Ball comes out. Let's take a look at that last play, which you want to focus in on number 59, Pisoni Tassini. He gets up into the grill of Nico Fala and actually causes Jones to fumble the football because he runs into his own player. A bit to his surprise, and Chase Hansen, the safety, coming down into the box. He's extremely aggressive and instinctual. He ends up finding the football on the ground.
So it's 3 drives and 3 fumbles now for the Trojans.
And they're moving the football. They just can't sustain the drives. And you know, you can go back to this quarterback change decision. It wasn't all on Max Brown. You know, it's this offense, it's this whole team that needs to step up its play.
Flag flies.
Sack or ball start, number 54 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, it remains first down.
You know, last week for the Trojans, it was the penalties that was ruining those drives. This week it's the turnovers keeping them from getting going. This penalty on first down moves Utah back. First down and 15. Armand Shine hit in the backfield and dropped. That time penetration coming from Josh Fatu, who's seeing more and more playing time with Noah Jefferson banged up. And it's second down and long.
Fatu does a good job of getting off the snap. Fast twitch guy. He's able to get upfield, good in his speed rushes off the edge. Usually on passing downs, but right there you see him utilize it in the running game.
Junior out of Long Beach, California. Makes it second and 17. Rush only 4. Williams with a straight drop. Throws incomplete. Nowhere close to Raylan Singleton. Malik Dorton might have gotten a hand on it. And third and 17.
It was a tough window for Williams to try to find Singleton. He tried to throw him open. Singleton didn't really come out of the route. Now third and long. They take a chance outside to their big-bodied wide receiver, Tim Patrick. Hasn't got a whole lot of targets tonight. But they play more conservative, play the field position battle with third and long.
Patrick without a reception. Adoree Jackson shadowing him everywhere he goes. Third down 17. There's that matchup at the top of the screen. Williams looking his way. Letting it fly. Patrick has got it. First down to Utah. 44 yards. Patrick beating Jackson.
And watch Troy Williams stand in there and deliver this football. You can see Gustin bearing down on him. Williams hangs on just long enough to drop an absolute dime. Step for step, Adoree Jackson was there, but as Tim Patrick runs the deep post route, it's just too well of a thrown ball. Tim Patrick's got that 6'5" frame. He gets his body in between the defender and the ball. He comes up with a big play. This is what the Utah offense has really lived on so far this year.
And that's what has killed the USC defense, big plays. Fresh set of downs from the 24. Here comes Troy McCormick. Pulled down by Stevie Tui Kolavatu. The Utah transfer. First and only year at USC. He was struggling to find playing time on the Utah defensive line. Saw an opening with the Trojans. And transferred over there. He's been one of their best players on defense.
Yeah, you talked to defensive coordinator Clancy Pendergast. He says, look, this guy demands double teams. He sets the tone for us up front. He helps out our linebackers, Cameron Smith in particular. Solid player, has a bright future, possibly playing on Sundays.
On second and 9, Williams throwing into the flats. Troy McCormick pulled down from behind by Cameron Smith. Perhaps a touchdown saving tackle, making it 3rd and 2.
Well, this is the matchup that Utah likes. You've got McCormick with Cameron Smith covering him one-on-one. That's why Cameron Smith comes out on 3rd down. He's just not fast enough to be able to cover these smaller, faster backs for Utah.
3rd down 2. They bring their biggest back in. It's Armand Shine. He powers forward and has a first down. So Armand Shine getting a heavy load today. Already his 8th carry. Sharing time with Moss and McCormick. Here converting. First down and 10 from the 13.
He's really the bigger back, stronger, tougher runner. The guy that they like in between the tackles. With Moss and McCormick, they're usually the type of guys to get to the outside on the edge of a defense and really explode.
The ruling of first down on the previous play is under further review.
We'll take a look at the spot on where Shine went down.
Well, I think it's going to be based upon when they blew the whistle on forward progress. And it appeared from up here that he had enough with the push from the offensive line. And you'll remember, you are allowed to assist the ball carrier forward if you're an offensive player. That used to be illegal, it's now legal. So as you look at Asiata there, trying to help pull him along a little bit. And this has to be definitive. If they were going to change this spot, I don't think that's going to be the case.
No, I think it's pretty clearly the right spot, or at least pretty clearly a first down, which is the big issue here. That didn't take long for Terry Layden. And so it is confirmed. First down run for Armand Shine, and first down and 10 for Utah from the 13.
And this is really the area of the field now that Utah's got to do a better job of executing on. You look at their first drive when they got down to the red zone. It was a zone read keep by Troy Williams for the touchdown. Key on him possibly keeping the football in the running game or taking a shot to the outside to Singleton or Tim Patrick.
McCormick coming in motion. They punt short. End zone shot. Jackson in coverage knocks it away from Patrick. Won this battle after Patrick beat him earlier on the drive.
Well, this was interesting. They run kind of a double move. They kind of pump to him on a little smoke screen. That's what they call it when you just take a step off the ball and essentially just throw up a fade route. Adoree Jackson not fooled, and he's probably not going to be when he's 10 yards off like that. He's a heck of an athlete already. He's got recovery speed, so I'm not sure I really like that call at this part of the field, and really with him playing so soft.
Williams straight ahead, nowhere to go, and it's third down. Porter Gustin, we told you earlier, local products. Chose the Trojans over Utah. Last minute decision for him to go to USC.
And he's a bring your lunch pail type of guy. High motor, good technique, constantly chasing down the football. That's Porter Gustin for you.
First year as a full-time starter, played a significant role as a freshman last year, but into that everyday starter role now. Third down and 10 for Utah. McCormick motions out. Quarterback draw, and it's shut down by Uchenna Nwosu. The high school teammate of Troy Williams greets him in the backfield to make it fourth down.
So they motion the running back out to try to get less people inside the box, but there comes Nwosu on a little game back to the inside. Call it games because he starts on the outside as defensive end, then he wraps back inside, usually where the defensive tackle is.
Andy Phillips on for this field goal from 36 yards. School record 69th career-made field goal. We told you Patrick and Jackson would be going at it all night. Jackson had shut him down over the first quarter plus, but a big third down conversion to Patrick. Jackson got him the next time and set up the field goal. Utah with a 10-7 lead on USC. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Jenny Taft back here in Salt Lake City. Pac-12 opener between two teams that tied for the Pac-12 South last year, and USC went to the championship game thanks to the head-to-head win. First three possessions for USC ended in fumbles. Their lone score coming from this guy, Adoree Jackson, taking a kickback.
Well, and let's see if Higgins and Utah decide to actually kick it to Adoree Jackson, or they try to use more of a directional kick and kick away from him.
Instead, Andy Phillips comes on and will kick it. He angles it away. Jack Jones, true freshman, stayed on his feet and got crunched at the 25. Let's go down to Jenny Taft.
I know you guys said earlier that it might not be raining, but I just wanted to confirm it is still raining. It's barely stopped. It is light, but the turf is slick. And something to keep in mind, I talked to Todd Hewitt, he's USC's equipment manager. He told me a lot of these guys were encouraged to wear wet gloves. A lot of them taking them off, not very comfortable. Justin Davis, he definitely wasn't wearing those gloves with the fumble. The fumble still being a concern for these guys. I'll keep you posted on the conditions.
All right, Jenny, 4 fumbles in this first half. It's the first time in 4 years the Trojans have turned it over 3 times in the first half. Sam Darnold, first career start, back out there from the 25. Fakes to Davis. Gets drilled from behind. That is an incomplete pass. Incomplete, 2nd and 10. Chase Hansen came flying in from his backside.
Well, this is part of the pressure that Utah is known for. Chase Hansen comes from the backside. Darnold pumps, doesn't see him, and that's in part because of good coverage downfield. We'll see if this ball is indeed coming out on a throwing motion.
Trojans hustling up there trying to run a play, and they will get it off. Oh, maybe they won't. Just barely that whistle came in to beat the snap. Could we have a 4th USC fumble on 4 possessions?
The tough part to tell from this angle.
Snap, Utah has taken their first start timeout to challenge the ruling on the preceding play.
The tough part to tell from that angle is going to be trying to understand if the ball is coming forward. Here's probably the best look. And unfortunately for Utah, unfortunate for USC, it might be hard to overturn that because it has to be indisputable, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that indeed this was a fumble, meaning the arm cannot be coming forward through its motion. And as you can see, and actually, if we can go back and look at that one more time, as you watch that ball, it can't be coming loose in his hand as it's coming forward. But the problem is it has to be definitive to overturn it. We talked about it at the beginning of the game. A night game, a rowdy environment, a redshirt freshman on the road in his first start. They'll take into account all these things and handle the pressure that Utah brings. Some of the things that maybe Max Brown would have seen being a little bit more experienced player.
It's been a busy day for the replay booth, led by David Lambros. Terry Layden's verdict.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. 2nd down.
All right, so USC dodges a bullet. Mike Pereira, what do you think?
Well, I don't think there was enough to overturn it. I think it's really, really close. But again, the rule states that the ball has to be clearly out of the hand before the hand starts forward. And so I do think it's the right call. Close, but clearly the right call.
And a big one for 2nd and 10 instead of Utah football.
Utah has lost. The Utah timeout will be charged when they lost their confirmation. Lost their challenge ability.
You heard Terry Layden tell you that still counts as Utah's first time out of the half. 2nd down and 10 for the Trojans. Justin Davis has a seam and he takes off. Justin Davis in a foot race pushed out at the 25. 49 yards for the senior and the big play that the Trojans needed.
And watch this USC offensive line. They run a single back power play. They're going to pull their right guard, Liani Talimaiva, and you see Justin Davis then burst through the hole, and there's really no one there on the 2nd level. Not for Marcus Williams. That's a touchdown for USC.
Already 88 yards for Davis. Darnold keeps it this time. Lowers the shoulder and gets 4. Marcus Williams with a tackle at 2nd and 6.
You look at the size advantage for this USC offensive line versus the defensive line for Utah. Really, they've had success running the football and really these drives. They just can't seem to take care of the football.
Said Ware in at running back. First time he's been in. Darnold over the middle. Juju Smith-Schuster yanked down by Reggie Porter, and it looks like just short. Third and less than a yard. It's such a slow start this year for Smith-Schuster, but 3 catches tonight. And third down and 1 for USC. Said Ware straight ahead for a first down. On his first carry, first down to the 14.
We talked to Clay Helton about Cedric Ware, and really he said this is the guy with the most potential out of the running back group. He's the biggest, has the best hands. I really feel like he can do the most out of anyone in the backfield. That's saying a lot, considering how talented both Davis and Jones are.
Stays in there, first down, and a whistle. And a timeout for the Trojans.
First time out of the half. 30 seconds in late.
So USC on the move, trying to finish off a drive here. First 3 possessions halted by fumbles. Get ready for MLB postseason, where all that matters is October. The NLDS starting October 7th on FS1. Is it the Cubs' year finally?
Or is it the Indians?
Well, yeah, Ohio guy.
City of Champions. You got the Cavs, the Indians possibly making a run. I don't know about the Browns.
I was going to ask you about that.
Well, you know, you got Cody Kessler starting this week. Not necessarily a good sign for Cody, considering he's the 3rd quarterback in 3 weeks for the Cleveland Browns.
Not a ton around him.
Well, and much like Sam Darnold, he's going on the road to play the Miami Dolphins, who are an 0-2 team, really hungry to get a win after losing to both the Seahawks and the New England Patriots. So it also will be a tough challenge for him going up against a tough defensive front.
Inside of 5 minutes left in this first half. Utah scored on its first possession on a Troy Williams touchdown run. USC answered right back on a 100-yard touchdown return from Adoree Jackson. And then Utah taking advantage of one of the 3 USC fumbles to add on an Andy Phillips field goal. That's where we stand right now, 10-7. Sam Darnold, his first career start. Guy that didn't even play quarterback until his sophomore year of high school. He was a receiver and a linebacker that started playing quarterback because of injury at his high school. Under center for first down. Justin Davis, big hole and a touchdown. Davis moved him down there with a long run, and he caps it off from 14.
When USC runs the football, they like running to this right side of the offensive line. Watch 73, Zach Banner in particular. He's able to kind of help clear things out, as well as center Fala. There you see Justin Davis does the rest. Finally, USC capitalizing on a drive and not turning over the football.
And the Trojans now leading for the first time on Justin Davis's first touchdown of the season. Looking forward to that. Trojans in front for the first time at 14-10 here in Salt Lake City. After the Justin Davis touchdown, he had a career-long touchdown run, or career-long run to set up his first score of the year.
Yeah, coming into this game, the Utah defense was only giving up 105 yards a game. Davis has almost eclipsed that. He's sitting right now at 104 yards, not even at halftime.
First time in 2 seasons that Utah has allowed a 100-yard rusher. It's the longest active streak coming into the game in FBS at 18 games. Picked up off a bounce by Butler Bird, and he pays the price at the 15. Special teams tackle from Isaiah Langley. Utah trailing for the first time. Will get it going from the 16-yard line. Troy Williams. And in this offense, Williams so far 5 of 9 for 68 yards. It's been heavy ground game from the start for the Utes.
Yeah, he started off a little bit more efficient in the first quarter. And so far in the second quarter, the USC defense has done a good job not allowing Utah to have much production on first and second down, keeping them in the 3rd and long.
27 of the 36 Utah plays have been runs, and he can tack one more on. Zach Moss, first down, crossing the 30 before Marvell Tell brought him down, and a gain of 15.
Well, safety Leon McQuay had an opportunity to make a tackle in the hole, but he chose wrong. He thought Moss was going to go outside. Moss was able to get a step on him and get upfield. McQuay starting today over Hawkins. Talked about his emergence with Clancy Pendergrass coming back as their defensive coordinator.
The 31-yard line. Moss again hopping into the hole and getting drilled by Porter Gustin. Finishing forward and a gain of 4. 2nd and 6. Moss, a true freshman out of Florida. Staff really high on this kid.
USC, there is no yardage penalty associated with this warning.
You hear the sideline warning on USC. Moss, it's crazy. I mean, there's 3 kids from one high school in Florida down at Hollandale on this Utah team.
Yeah, and really credit Coach Dennis Erickson. Very familiar with that area from his time with Miami.
It's Moss again. And a few more. Tuiko Levatu with a tackle, and it's 3rd and short.
You mentioned Moss, but also backup quarterback Tyler Huntley, wide receiver Damari Simpkins. All 3 played together at Hollandale, and Dennis Erickson was able to go down there to South Florida with the beach and get these 3 guys to come out to the mountains here in Salt Lake.
It's about as beautiful as it comes here, but still, it's much different.
Very drastic climate change.
3rd down and 2 for the Utes, inside of 3.5 in this opening half. They keep it on the ground, and it's shut down by Tuiko Levatu. What a night he's having in his return to Salt Lake City. 4th down.
We talked about it, the 5th-year senior. Gets penetration, quick off the football. Look how he engages with Dielman, but low man win sets him, is able to get back in the backfield for the tackle for loss.
How about the wave? Is that a wave to some of the 60 friends and families got here? Maybe the Utah sideline.
People don't understand how hard that is, too, when you got to trade in those tickets with other players. It's 15 guys you got to talk to get those tickets from them.
You hold your breath here with Adoree Jackson going back. Wisnowski booted it 60 yards the first time. This time a fair catch from Jackson at the 15. So the Trojan offense, after that encouraging touchdown drive, heads back out, trying to tack on, but 2.5 left.
And really, you're starting to feel that momentum right now for this USC team. Off to a 1-2 start this season, but you look at who they've played. I mean, 2 top 10 teams in the country, the defending national champions in Alabama. Stanford last week had a nice win versus Utah State, but I mean, clearly, when you're talking about playing that sort of talented teams early in the season, it's tough sledding.
Started 1-3 since 2001, but yeah, 3 top 25 opponents in the first 4 weeks, all away from Los Angeles. On the 15, Darnold to throw into the flats is tight end Taylor McNamara, juggled incomplete. Brian Allen knocked it out of there, 2nd and 10.
Well, we talked with offensive coordinator T. Martin. He said, you know, we don't have the biggest tight ends, so we have to utilize them a little bit in the passing game. McNamara not able to gain possession of the football and get a foot in before he was out of bounds.
Darnold, who is 5 of 10 through the air, zips one over the middle for a first down to Darius Rogers. 16 yards to the senior from Compton before Marcus Williams tackles him.
One of the best things about Darius Rogers that makes him so successful is he gets separation. He's able to explode out of his cuts and leave the defender in the dust.
Davis motions out, tries to open up the middle of the field. Darnold tries to run through that void, but pulled down from behind. Tackle made by Tamo Apenu inside of 2 minutes. And USC uses its 2nd timeout.
That's the other element that Sam Darnold brings to this offense. With Max Brown, that may have been a throwaway, maybe a sack. With Sam Darnold, it ends up being a gain. Something positive on that drive. bit more athletic, and I think this Utah defense has seen that before already this year. Their matchup versus BYU, they saw that in Taysom Hill. I think Sam Darnold's probably a better passer. Taysom Hill for BYU may be a better runner, but Hill was very effective in that game, getting outside the pocket and utilizing his legs. I'll be curious to see if Sam Darnold is able to accomplish the same tonight versus this Utah defense.
You saw Max Brown, who started those first 3 games. Sam Darnold tonight, first career start, has the Trojans in front. Outside he goes to Smith-Schuster, his 4th reception of this first half. Had only 11 catches over the first 3 games combined.
You go back to their matchup versus Utah last year, he had 8 receptions, a touchdown, 100-some yards. That's really been his production coming into this game the entire season. You see him matched up versus 29 Reggie Porter.
On 3rd and 1. They faked it. Davis gets rid of it quickly, and Darius Rogers has a first down. That was one of the things they liked most about Darnold, the way that he gets it out of his hand in a hurry.
Well, he's decisive. He doesn't really second guess. When he pulls the trigger, it's coming out quick. He's got a very, very strong arm.
Out of an empty set on first down. Darnold feeling the pressure and sacked for the first time tonight. Hunter Dimick, 19th career sack for the senior. Yeah, the Trojans burn their final timeout.
The USC utilizing an empty set there. Obviously the protection wasn't able to hold up. Hunter Dimick ends up getting the sack.
Well, coming up on the State Farm halftime with Rob Stone, Dave Wannstedt, Robert Smith, and Matt Leinart. Matt Leinart, former USC quarterback, will dive inside what he thinks is Sam Darnold's first start. TCU having some issues early against SMU. We'll update you on that one too.
Old Matty Leinart, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. The lefty talking about the righty.
Yeah.
On the wrong arm, but
talking about that being the first sack of the game. Credit to this USC offensive line against a defense that had 10 sacks last week. Here's he floats it to Stephen Mitchell. First down on his 2nd catch of the game.
And it's really been Stephen Mitchell and Darius Rogers who have stepped up at the wide receiver position. Everyone knows Juju Smith-Schuster. Household name. These other guys have stepped up in his absence.
Darnold starting to find some rhythm. Steps into a throw to Smith-Schuster. He's got 8 more with a flag down, perhaps a horse collar. No face mask, but a lot of grabbing up high on Smith-Schuster from Brian Allen.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask. Number 14 of the defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
As you watch Brian Allen go to bring Smith-Schuster down, clearly grabbing on the face mask, assisting him and bringing him down to the ground for the tackle. We got a chance to talk to Juju in person. He's a big dude. He's every bit of 220 pounds and 6'3", maybe 6'4".
First and 10 from the 12. And a flag flies as Darnold takes off. There's a flag down. It was blown dead before the snap. Allen and Schuster going at it after that play.
Before the snap, false start. Number 1 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Now 1 week after they had 6 false starts, 5 of them in the first half. That's the first USC penalty.
And really, as a wide receiver,
Set the clock to read 1 minute 17 seconds.
what you're coached to do is watch the snap of the football. And those are the sort of mental errors and blunders that really have plagued USC so far this season.
First and 15 now. Darnold throws into traffic and it's broken up. Dominique Hatfield, the corner, dropping back there and tipping it in the air. 2nd and 15.
Well, this throw was late. Sam Darnold kind of hesitated. He should have got it right now. And instead, it allows Hatfield enough time to drop back into coverage and almost get the interception. And if he didn't have it, Chase Hansen had to pick that off. In the red zone, there's not as much space. You got to get the ball out sooner. Timing is pivotal.
Quarterback draw, and not much space for Darnold, who gets 4. Pulled down by Filippo Mokafisi, and with a minute left in this first half, it's 3rd and 11.
Well, one of the blueprints that head coach Kyle Whittingham has traditionally been known for with this defense is he's either going to be bringing a bunch of pressure, leaving just man-to-man coverage with no safety help on the outside, or he'll play more coverage.
Utah a little bit late getting set up defensively. Darnold to the end zone, one-on-one, incomplete, and no flags. Wanted Rodgers, coverage from Hatfield, and it's 4th down.
Darnold trying to work one-on-one on the outside. They try to run a slant and go, and you see Rodgers cut to the outside. Unfortunately, the ball too far behind. Darnold was thinking a back shoulder. Rodgers probably wanted it more upfield. Again, those are the sorts of things that you're trying to work out when you've got a new quarterback behind center.
Bormeister. First year as the place kicker for the Trojans. And he's got it. USC in front by a touchdown now. Settling for a field goal on this drive. Bormeister knocks it through.
As you can see, when USC takes care of the football, they're capitalizing and finishing off drives. They're losing in the turnover margin, but they're overcoming it right now. It's a little bit in part two with the spark that was created by Adoree Jackson with his kickoff return for a touchdown, tying the game at 7 apiece.
On a night that is rare when you look through the years at USC, that is a freshman making a first start this early in a season. Barkley did it in 09. Palmer did it in 98, and it did not go well. He was benched by a guy I've honestly never heard of. And then Tom Marinovich back in 89.
Well, the key thing is, as you look there, a redshirt freshman, and that is exactly what Sam Darnold is. It's tougher as a true freshman because you get there and basically you're playing right away once you enroll in the fall or even in the summer sometimes. Darnold was able to be in there for a year, understand the system, get a bit of a rapport with his coaches and his players. He showcased some of that ability in scout team.
It's like a scout team legend talking to those guys.
Well, and that was really where they started to show his ability. And some of the coaches said, man, you got to see this guy on scout team. They'd run into the office after practice and put on some of the highlights from some of his plays.
Corey Butler-Bird, I think, pinned into the corner. And with 35 seconds and 2 timeouts, Utah will have it at the 25. You trying to generate anything here, considering you've got the couple timeouts, or no?
I wouldn't imagine so, only because when you know Kyle Whittingham, he tends to be a bit more conservative being at this portion of the field with only 35 seconds. I would imagine they'll try to run the football. Maybe they'll take a shot, though. Again, they've got the size advantage on the outside over the USC cornerbacks. So maybe you take a shot, throw it up, give your wide receivers an opportunity to make a play on the football, or possibly draw a pass interference.
And they will have it to begin the second half. See what they do here. 35 seconds and 2 timeouts. And they do hand it off to Armand Shine for a gain of 4. The ground game was really carrying Utah early in this game, but USC's quieted it down in this second quarter.
I think they're starting to get a feel up front. I'm starting to get the jump on the snap as well. Tui Kolovatu in particular, trying to time up that snap count, really get a jump, create penetration into the backfield. Something to free up Cameron Smith, who's having one heck of a game once again versus Utah.
Already with double-digit tackles for Smith, and the Trojans will enter the break with a 17-10 lead. Facing their third top 25 opponent in the first 4 weeks and trying to even that record at 2-2. Trying to keep Utah from a 4th consecutive 4-0 start. And trying for the 2nd year in a row to hand the Utes their first loss. Let's go down to Jenny Taft.
Coach, you've got the lead going into the break, but 3 fumbles. How do you clean it up?
Yeah, that's really stopping ourselves. We're moving the ball up and down the field, but those 3 costly turnovers kept us from getting an even bigger lead.
Darnold, 10 for 16, 122 yards. What's your impression of his debut?
Yeah, right now doing a good job protecting the ball, staying clean, and we're running the ball, so it's a good balance right now.
Okay, thanks for your time. Joe.
You.
All right, Jenny, 8 yards per carry for the Trojans in that first half. Right now, we send it to Rob Stone in Los Angeles. We welcome you back inside. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, ready to begin this second half. And USC, once it got out of its own way, started to get things going. But 3 drives and 3 fumbles to start the game.
Yeah, and really everyone contributed to it. If you look at it, it started out with Justin Davis. Then it was Sam Darnold. Then it was Jones. And as you watch each one of these fumbles, notice that each one they're going to the ground. A lot of times it's hard as a ball carrier to keep control of that football and protect it as you're going against the ground. Then it was Justin Davis. And we saw him emerge in the first half. 100 yards, a 50-yarder, being capped off with a 14-yard touchdown. This USC offensive line has done a really nice job of opening up holes for the running backs.
Yeah, because Utah deferred the opening toss, they'll have it to begin this second half in their Pac-12 opener. Trojans facing a 3rd top 25 team in the first 4 weeks. Try to even their record at 2-2. Try to even their Pac-12 record at 1-1. Let's go down to Jenny Taft.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk to Coach Whittingham coming back from the break, and overall defensively, he said they're just not living up to expectations. Remember, 10 sacks last weekend. They need to see more of that. Also to note, they have some injuries. Lowell Lotulelei, defensively, he's that tackle. He will not return. He's out with a left shoulder injury. I saw him on ice. He was not happy to be out, guys, getting hugs and encouragement from his teammates, but he will not return.
All right, that is a significant loss for Utah. He's a 2-time all-conference player in the interior. So you look at the first half stats with Utah ready to come back out.
Really the anchor of their defensive line, but you talked about the lack of sacks. Well, it's been a balanced attack. 17 pass attempts, 17 rushes. Hard to sack them. They're not in a passing situation all the time.
From the 30-yard line, that's where Utah's first drive of the second half begins. And it's Williams starting with a throw to Corey Butler-Bird and a first down. Only the 10th pass play of the game for Utah. You talk about the USC balance. For Utah, 32 runs out of their 42 plays.
Yeah, I thought the USC defense really stepped up their rush defense in the second quarter in particular. Utah kind of had their way in the first quarter. USC was able to kind of figure some things out. Now it's on the Utah offense to open things up in the passing game.
Troy Williams, 6 of 10. Fakes it, throws it, incomplete, and knocked down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, they have some of these run-pass options, meaning it's a running play called, but Troy Williams can pull the ball and throw downfield if need be. He's trying to work to the backside. As you can see, the switch right up top wasn't looking that way, it was actually looking in the opposite direction. Singleton on the bottom, really never looking for the football until it was too late. Ron Marshall with good coverage.
Reporter Gustin wound up knocking it down. Butler-Bird, the motion man. Straight ahead comes Moss. And Zach Moss more than 70 yards already. True freshman carrying a heavy load for the Utes. 3rd and 4.
Coaching staff talked about they're still trying to figure out Zach Moss a little bit. He's a true freshman. Hasn't been here that long, but the more he plays, the better they feel about his ability in the running game. But again, a 3rd down situation that if you're looking at the Utah offense right now, you got to be thinking they're going to have to work something out in the passing game. One of their playmakers on the outside needs to step up, whether it's Butler-Bird or Tim Patrick.
Patrick only with 1 catch so far. It was a 40-yarder to convert a 3rd down in the first half. They float it for Patrick here, and it's knocked away by Adoree Jackson. had it in his breadbasket, and then Jackson reached in and poked it out to make it 4th down.
Well, this is really where Troy Williams excels. Look at where he places this football. It's absolutely perfect. Tim Patrick's just beside himself. Adoree Jackson does a good job, though, of getting his hand in and distracting Tim Patrick. It's not easy when you got a guy waving his hand in front of your face.
Even if he gives up 6 inches. That goes Adoree Jackson. On a line drive punt, it goes out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Sam Darnold getting ready to bring USC out for its first possession of the second half. Can anyone beat the unstoppable Cyborg tomorrow on UFC Fight Night? Newcomer Lena Landsberg is about to find out. Plenty more with UFC Fight Night tomorrow at 7 Eastern on FS1, or you can watch it live on Fox Sports Go. They say that ball went out at the 9. And another good punt from Mitch Wisnowski. First play of the second half is a Justin Davis run. And Davis with another chunk. 14 yards and now 116 on only 7 carries.
Well, a unique formation for USC. They came out in an unbalanced look, meaning they actually had number 48, Tyler McNamara, at the tackle position and moved their tackle over to the tight end position on the other side.
Darnold pulls it this time. Foot in the ground to get upfield at the 30. One of the dimensions he brings, a former receiver and linebacker, power runner. 2nd and 2.
Coming back with that same exact unbalanced formation, just flipped.
And they run behind it. And it opens a hole for a first down from Davis. Now Tioli with a tackle. Damian Mama with a key block on that play.
We talked about this unbalance. It forces the defensive line to shift. Watch Mama come around as he pulls. You see McNamara at that backside tackle position. Just a little wrinkle that makes it tougher for the Utah defense to line up.
Trojans, Brady, averaging more than 8 yards per carry against a unit that prides itself on defense. Davis again keeps the legs turning for 2. Been 2 seasons since they've even allowed a 100-yard rusher, and Davis has 123 on 9 carries. He comes out, Ronald Jones back in. For 2nd and 8 from the 38. Darnold straight down the gut. It's caught by McNamara. 22 yards, finding a hole in that Utah defense.
Well, the Utah defense utilized a split safety look, meaning they're weak in the middle of the field. They have no one accounting for it. 2 safeties were back for the deep halves of the field. That's where you like to utilize your tight end vertically through the middle of the field. Nice job by Sam Darnold seeing it.
Darnold's numbers starting to look impressive. 11 of 18 for 151. He'll throw again. Smith-Schuster, he's got it. And the flag flies. One official saying incomplete, the other saying complete. And now 3 will come together to decide.
You see Juju Smith-Schuster working one-on-one against Reggie Porter. And I'll be curious to see, as far as when he caught this football, if he steps out. There's the catch. He gets a foot in. Clearly a reception for a big gain.
Pass interference, number 20, the defense. The pass is complete. Penalties declined.
All right, so it was a complete pass with the pass interference, which is declined, and a 35-yard reception.
Take another look at it. Sam Darnold, though, putting it out in front, away from Reggie Porter, not allowing him an opportunity to make a play on the football, and that actually probably was on Reggie Porter, not Marcus Williams, who was the free safety that came in there at the end.
Juju Smith-Schuster came into this game with 99 yards total this year. He's got 84 tonight. Finally coming alive for the Trojans. Ronald Jones stood up at the 5, able to fight to the 3. Filippo Mokafisi in there, but it's 2nd and goal.
No Lowell Latulele, and this is really a key part of the field where he would come into play. Well, the Utah defense did a good job getting a stop there, holding him at the point of attack. More pressure is going to be put on Mokafisi and the rest of the guys up front.
Hustle up to the line after breaking the huddle. Darnold goes under center and a flat. Everybody was moving except the ball out of the center's hand.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 47 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, they were trying to change up their tempo from a huddle. Watch them rush up to the line of scrimmage. Unfortunate part is not everyone is set, and again, they're utilizing an unbalanced formation. Meaning they have a tight end at a tackle position, and it puts pressure on the defense to then figure out how they want to align their front to set up to stop the run.
2nd down and goal. The play clock winding down, and a timeout taken by USC.
USC has taken their first time out of the half.
A little bit out of sync the last minute or so here after a nice drive. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. It is a blackout here in Salt Lake City. How about these helmets? They're all painted individually. Jenny Taft tells us it took 4 months to paint all these helmets. So no 2 helmets are the same because they've each been hand painted for this blackout.
Pretty neat.
Yeah. Last time USC played here, it was a blackout game. Utah won that come from behind fashion. They'll need to come back again tonight. 2nd down and goal. Darnold, a quarterback draw. Sam Darnold has a seam for a touchdown. Already broke the plane before that ball came out. First career rushing score for the freshman. And the Trojans, after fumbling on each of their first 3 possessions, have now scored on 3 consecutive drives.
Well, there was no one accounting for the quarterback in the run game on that particular play. Look to the outside. Everyone's kind of got their eyes to the outside. And once Sam Darnold takes the snap, come back, see Cody Barton. Everyone's looking out at the wide receivers. They're not looking back in the backfield for a run.
So Darnold is in the end zone, and USC has a 2-score lead. It was set up by Smith-Schuster, who's coming alive tonight, and capped off by the freshman. $17 unanswered for Sam Darnold and the Trojans. Most recently, an 8-play, 91-yard drive capped off by Darnold's run.
Yeah, 2 for 2 on that drive, and the biggest key for Darnold, besides the early fumble, really taking care of the football, in particular in passing situations.
12 of 19 for a $186 in his first career start. Corey Butler-Bird back to return this one. He's bringing it out. And ripped down shy of the 15-yard line. For an update on those weather conditions, back down to Jenny Taft.
Well, guys, I may have jinxed it a little bit because I thought, oh, the rain, it's stopping. But no, right after that touchdown, it really picked up again. Something to note, Juju Smith-Schuster, who really hadn't been vocal in that first half, he came off after that score, super hyped up, getting all of his teammates involved. He had been challenged before the break that they needed him to get involved. He's doing it now, guys.
He was really challenged before this game this week. Offensive coordinator T. Martin came in, showed him some tape from the Stanford game, and said, these 50-50 balls, you've got to start winning for us. You're that good of a talent. You can do this.
Big-time drive right here for Utah. And they started off with a run to Armand Shine. That run game was so good early in the game. They averaged about 6 yards per carry for most of the first quarter, but it's been more like 2 yards per carry since.
And the hardest part is now that the rain's picked up, It's going to hurt the Utah offense a little bit in the passing game. He's got to be extremely focused on watching the ball into their hands, if not their hands, then into their body, trying to secure the football.
Second down and 7. A low snap picked up. Armand Shine surging forward, close to a first down. Pulled down by Rasheem Green. And he's got it off.
This Utah offense is still going to maintain its patience. Kyle Whittingham understands that there's plenty of time left in this game. They've got to stick to do what they do best, and that's running the football and then working off of that with play action shots downfield. No need to panic for this Utah offense at this point.
Play action. Williams loads up and drills one incomplete. Looking for Patrick, and it's second down.
That was one of those balls where you've got to extend out for it. It's going to be hard to bring it into your body. Good placement. Patrick has to come up with that catch. It's those sorts of big plays that you can't leave out there on the field versus this USC team.
2 drops in the second half already for Tim Patrick. Somebody's shed a glove. Tim Patrick barehanded right now. Sometimes it's easier in the rain to catch without the gloves. Second down and 10. Williams looks to throw again. And the flag flies. No doubt that Jonathan Lockett interfered with the intended receiver. It was Corey Butler-Bird.
They are located right here, one-on-one.
23, the defense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
A little double move by Butler-Bird. Lockett just got there a bit too early. Too much contact as the ball was thrown Butler-Bird's way. We talked about it. Patrick with a drop. Obviously a misfire there. They get the pass interference, but really it's Butler-Bird and Patrick have to step up for this Utah passing offense.
From the 34, they throw short side. And that's caught by Siosi Wilson, a redshirt freshman from Tustin, California. Only his second career catch. It goes for 9.
The USC defense has done a better job of stacking the box, meaning they're putting an extra defender around the line of scrimmage to account for the running game. And that's why the Utah offense has to pick things up in the passing game, working those one-on-one matchups on the outside, because the USC defense is giving a bit of cushion.
It's looked like Williams has gripped the wet ball pretty well. Second and 1. It's a trick play. They tee up Williams. Wide open man. Harrison Hanley, the tight end. First down and a gain of 28.
Well, Williams was able to get the ball to Hanley, but he actually missed Singleton downfield. Watch these two. Singleton, number 11, he's going to be breaking free, and Williams just pulls his eyes off of him. Still gets the big gain to Hanley, but really missed out on a touchdown.
On the 29. Armand Shine back in there, and they feed it to him. Stevie Tui Kolovatu, already 9 tackles in his return to Salt Lake City. Short gain, second down. You wonder if maybe the rain led Williams to throwing short. You didn't trust he could get it down there that far. It would have been, what, a 50-yard throw?
I don't know that that's going to affect his arm. I mean, he's got a pretty strong arm. He can stretch the field. Sometimes when you've got all those things going on, where you've got a bunch of misdirection, someone flips you the ball, you kind of get locked on the one guy and you just take your shot, take your opportunity. He might have missed vision on Singleton downfield.
Still able to hit Hanley, moving the ball inside the 30. Second down and 8. They look to throw again, underneath. Caught at the 20. That's Butler-Bird, and it's 3rd and 1. Actually, they give him enough for a first down. Generous spot for Butler-Bird. And a first down for the Utes at the 19. The
talked about if the rain would affect the passing game. So far it has not. Utah's responded. As you can see, one more pass than rushes on this particular drive, still remaining balanced, but at the same time taking advantage of some of that soft coverage.
Williams 3 for 4 on the drive. The lone incompletion was a Tim Patrick drop. Looks to throw again on the slant. Raylan Singleton makes it 1st and goal.
Well, this is just one-on-one, mano-y-mano. You watch Singleton run a slant route, little push-off there, but Troy Williams puts it right on his body. Doesn't matter if it's raining or not. He's not going to drop that football.
Dare I say he's looked better since it started to rain harder. This is the best drive we've seen from him tonight.
I think this is really what they need from him right now. Again, this is the element of the offense they didn't have last year with Travis Wilson at quarterback.
1st down and goal. Williams kept it and got back to the line of scrimmage. His old high school teammate Uchenna Nwosu pulled him down for no gain.
It was interesting talking to the USC players about Troy Williams when he was in high school. They said, man, he was on a dream team. I mean, you did not want to mess with Troy Williams. The type of offense they ran. Juju Smith-Schuster talked about they would lose 50-0 or something like that in high school, he recalled.
Yeah, he said they were some kind of team Williams' senior year. 2nd and goal. Armand Shine lost the football. Who's got it? They'll unpile it and decide touchdown or touchback. Key moment in this game. Touchdown, Utah. One-score game in the 3rd quarter. And who gets credit for it? Isaac Asiata. Enjoy your moment of fame.
The senior out of Spanish Fort, Utah, comes up big. Shine running into his own player. It looked like it might have been J.J. Dielman that he ran into and actually lost the football. Fortunate for Utah, Asiata was able to find a way of recovering it.
Resulting in a touchdown is under further review.
It's actually Uatafe he runs into.
Porter Gustin had it right in his hands off of the initial fumble and couldn't pull it in.
That's twice now tonight. We saw it once for USC. Running back runs into his own player, loses the football. Now we see it for Utah. They're very fortunate he did. And when it's a dog pile like that, kind of a scrum almost, I mean, there's all kinds of things going on underneath that pile. And it's basically just going to be whoever can wrestle it away and get it the most, because you're never going to have a definitive look at who recovered it in replay.
Strongest man wins, and in this case, it was Isaac Asiata.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown, Utah.
Somehow Asiata gets this ball, 54 in black.
And it looked like Nwosu had another chance at it after Gustin missed it, but somehow Asiata was able to wrestle it away.
What a huge moment in this game as Andy Phillips comes dead on the extra point. On the hold of Wisnowski. 24-17 game. Critical drive for Utah. Ends in a touchdown for the most unlikely guy, Isaac Asiata.
Well, let's take a look at that last fumble, and I'm sure there's some people out there wondering if you're indeed allowed to fumble the football forward and if it can be recovered by someone besides the ball carrier, and in fact you are. The only times that's not allowed would be in 4th down or on tries, like a 2-point conversion, something like that. So in this particular case, it is indeed legal for there to be a fumble and actually be recovered by someone besides the initial ball carrier, in this case, Asiata.
And believe it or not, it's his first career touchdown.
Is that shocking to you?
Not much. Senior out of Spanish Fork, Utah. 4-year starter on the offensive line, and he's paved the way for plenty of touchdowns, but never gotten one of his own.
He's been a mainstay at that left guard position, following the lines of former Utah great offensive guards like Zane Beadles, now the San Francisco 49ers.
They brought Andy Phillips on to handle the kickoff duties. Stephen Mitchell has it. And Mitchell goes to the outside and is cut down to the 26. They brought Phillips on after the freshman Hicken made the mistake of kicking it to Adoree Jackson early in the game, and Jackson made him pay by taking it back for a touchdown. Sam Darnold back out there. Originally recruited to USC as a linebacker. Didn't have much interest in doing that, though. Was not highly recruited as a quarterback, really until his high school coach added in clips of him playing basketball to his recruiting reel. And the team started to see what kind of an incredible athlete he was. From the 27-yard line, Ced Ware with a nice surge, tackled by Mokafisi.
You talked about Sam Darnold and his recruitment process. Really, when he got to USC, he stood out on this scout team in particular. And really what it was is T. Martin talked about him surviving down there. So developed some of his instincts that we're seeing here tonight, his decisiveness and his toughness when he runs the football.
Making his first career start, trying to get USC a road win. Ced Ware has the reception, steps away from Hatfield and gets a first down. Tautioli with a tackle after a nice catch by Ced Ware.
The coaching staff said Ced Ware has the best hands of the group. Watch him kind of catch this football up high. It's wet in the rain. Look, he gets his fingertips on it. It's a heck of a play. Makes a guy miss, gets upfield. See why they're so high on that guy.
Yeah, does a lot of things well for him. Stays in for 1st and 10. This time he's got it straight downhill, and Ced Ware gets 9. Chase Hansen, all that is between him and perhaps breaking free for a longer game.
The USC playing fast, and they keep using these unbalanced formations.
Ware again, first down.
What it does is it creates seams in the defense because, especially when you play at a fast tempo, the Utah defense is trying to identify how to line up. Typically, you line up off the center. But in these unbalanced formations, when you've got a tight end at tackle, you've got to move over the guard usually.
It's Ware, pulled down behind the line of scrimmage by Pisoni Tassini, and it's 2nd and long.
Well, who is going to step up in replace of Lolo Tulele? Tassini so far is stepping up. Saw some other players. You know, one guy who's been kind of quiet tonight, at least since the beginning of the game, is Hunter Dimmick. Had 2 sacks a week ago. Really been a force off the edge.
Now, Dimmick said about Tassini, he thinks he's one of the most underrated players he's seen in his career here. Showing up tonight. Darnold well protected. Coverage downfield solid, so he takes off and gets what he can. At about 5. And it will be 3rd down and 7.
Again, that's the element that Sam Darnold brings to this offense. It's nothing against Max Brown. He's just not as good of an athlete, not as good of a runner. He's able to take nothing and make something positive out of it. And it also comes in handy on 3rd down. Don't be surprised if he doesn't find a running lane, if he doesn't take that option.
And Darius Rogers makes the catch against Dominique Hatfield for a 3rd down conversion.
Well, it was a good throw by Darnold, better catch by Rogers. Look at him at the extension. And again, it's rainy, it's wet, it's cold.
Darnold looked outside to get rid of that. Nobody was out there. Some miscommunication, and Dimmick and Hansen were there to bring him down. Darnold's gotten better and better as this game has gone on. He's over 200 yards now. 14 of 21 in his first career start, taking over for Max Brown. Balanced play calling to support him. On second down, Dominic Davis was moving early, and that will move USC back 5.
False start number 16 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
I think that's his first play of the game, and he's moving.
With such a deep backfield too, that's not going to earn you any more playing time.
5th SC penalty tonight.
Justin Davis comes in replace of Dominic Davis.
9 carries for 123 for Justin Davis tonight. Second down, 16. They fake it to him. Darnold double clutches and throws, and Rodgers makes the catch. High pointed that football, even though it's slick, able to grasp it for a gain of 10, making it a manageable third down.
We talked about some of the other USC wide receivers have really come up big in the absence of Juju Smith-Schuster. He's gotten a lot of double coverage, a lot of rolled coverage to his side, so he hasn't really been open. Rodgers once again coming up big.
Another third down for the Trojans. Utah bringing it, trying to gas it with a run. Davis gets 3, and it's 4th down and 3 for USC. And he'll have Clay Helton will the break between the 3rd and the 4th to decide what to do here. Through with 3 quarters in Salt Lake City. USC facing a 3rd top 25 opponent in the first 4 weeks, trying to get an upset win to even its record. Utah trying to start 4-0 for the 4th consecutive season. Back for the 4th. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico, and quite a choreographed show here, getting you ready for the 4th quarter.
This Utah crowd's really getting into it. The bus in full effect. Mighty Utah student section.
Turned out pretty well tonight.
They did.
Yeah.
They showed up for the blackout. They've been loud this entire game, even in wet and cold conditions.
And so on 4th down and 3, not a big surprise here that Clay Helton sends out the field goal team to try and make it a 2-score game. Matt Bormeister from 43 yards. And he knocks it through to make it a 10-point Trojan lead. And USC, after fumbling on its first 3 possessions of the game, has scored on 4 consecutive drives, and the head coach Helton loving it. How about our Nissan Heisman watch?
Well, right now there's a front runner. That's Lamar Jackson. 18 total touchdowns accounted for this season. McCaffrey, Deshaun Watson, they'll be up there as well. I mean, again, this is early. It's going to be largely dependent upon which team is able to survive and make a run towards the college football playoff.
10-point lead for the Trojans now. Bormeister to kick it away to Corey Butler-Bird. And Butler-Bird moving away, takes a knee. Utah to begin at the 25-yard line. And plenty more college football coming up as this weekend rolls on.
Now, the best chance for the Big 12 to possibly get a team to run the table, win the conference, and make a run for the college football playoff.
Zach Moss on 1st down, and there's just not been much there for Utah since first quarter of this game, where they were driving it down USC's throat, averaging about 6 yards per carry. But in the second part of this game, USC has shut it down.
In particular, in between the tackles. Go back to the first 3 weeks of this season for Utah. A much better success running on the edges outside the tackles.
Trojans showing pressure and rushing only 4 on 2nd down. Williams zips one. It's caught. It's a 1st down. A little bit behind Butler Bird, but he adjusted for a pickup of 22.
Butler Bird working on Leon McQuay across the field. Butler Bird's too quick in and out of his breaks. A nice catch in wet, rainy conditions.
Leading the team with 4 catches for 49 yards now. Williams pumps wide side, dumps it off. Michael Hutchings stopping Zach Moss after 3.
Williams looking at that matchup of Tim Patrick on Adoree Jackson. Didn't like it, wisely came down to his check down for a positive gain.
He's got one-on-one at the top of that matchup you're talking about. Instead, he hands it off to Moss. He gets 3, 3rd and 4 or 5.
If you're the USC defense, the question you got to ask yourself is, do you bring pressure? You try to force the hand out of Troy Williams' hands quick, run up to make the tackle. Only problem with that is you leave yourself vulnerable in one-on-one coverage on the outside.
On 3rd and 4, they're bringing some heat, and a slant beats it. First down on Damari Simpkins' first catch of the night.
Well, this is what's called a zone pressure. They bring pressure off the edge. This guy drops. Williams is able to throw right off the ear of Nwosu. That's a tremendous job of being able to be patient with pressure coming to your backside and still delivering an accurate football on 3rd down.
Anticipated that window for a big conversion. First down at the 36 now. It's a reverse. Here comes Butler Bird getting a huge block. First down inside the 25.
Watch number 72. He's going to come at the top of the screen. Look at that block on Cameron Smith, and he was there. He read it. You could almost make the case that might have been in the back. It was right down his side, but
from the 21, Williams play action. Now under pressure. And throws that ball out of bounds with the pressure coming from Porter Gustin. 2nd and 10.
Well, they were trying to work on a little run action pass here. They were looking for Butler Bird up the sideline.
No intentional grounding. The quarterback was outside the pocket and the ball was thrown beyond the line of scrimmage. 2nd down.
Yeah, Troy Williams held on to it a little bit long, but he broke the plane of the tackles. Was able to get rid of it, even though he was under duress. And obviously, again, the ball has to clear the line of scrimmage in order for that to be incomplete and not a penalty.
2nd down and 10. And a flag.
False start, number 18 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
And the tight end Moiai.
Again, this is that part of the field that the Utah offense in the past 3 weeks has struggled a bit as far as continuing to keep things going. They've been okay today, but they faced a number of penalties inside the red zone.
One of the worst red zone teams in the country as far as turning those trips into touchdowns. First 3 weeks, only 40% of those red zone trips turned into touchdowns. A long ride, and then he hands it off, and Moss gets 3. 3rd down 15. Or 3rd down and 12. Smith with another tackle, and then he comes out with his 3rd down play.
Really credit Porter Gustin. He was the read man on that play in the zone read scheme. That forced Troy Williams to extend the play and hold on to the football longer than he wanted to. That allowed for the rest of the USC defense to go rally to the football for a minimal gain. Now it's 3rd down. They're going to need someone again to step up on the outside. Is it Butler Bird or Tim Patrick?
Corner blitz coming near side, so it's Patrick who's open. Close to a first down. They'll spot him a yard short. 4th down and 1.
So you see him on Marshall. He's going to come off the edge. An accurate football to the outside. Troy Williams had to be patient, had to wait on him to get to his depth. You know, sometimes you adjust your route when you see those sorts of pressures from a defense. In that particular case, Utah was able to still provide protection and hold on to it long enough to get the completion.
4th and 1, and they're going to go, even though they're down 10. Zach Moss, straight ahead, gets a first down. Interesting call from Coach Whittingham, where a field goal would have brought you back to within a score. He goes for it, and it pays off. First down and goal for Utah.
You're at home. You got to seize the momentum when you have the opportunity to get down here. USC has started to kind of steal a little bit of this momentum starting in the second quarter. You don't know how many more times you're going to be able to get down into the red zone this deep. Why not take the opportunity to go for it on 4th down at home?
Inside of 10 minutes now. Williams looks to throw. Into the end zone. Did he hang on? He did. Raylan Singleton for the Utah touchdown.
This is a timing route all the way. Looking on a John A. Harris up top. See, Troy Williams does a tremendous job of getting the ball out before Singleton even comes out of his cut. That sort of timing allowed for the completion and the touchdown.
They convert the 4th and 1 and score a play later. Raylan Singleton's first touchdown has Utah back to within 3. What a way to spend a Friday night in the Pac-12. Uncanny how similar the circumstances are for these two teams entering this year's matchup to where they were last year. Utah was unbeaten. They were number 3 in the country. USC had just made the coaching change, and they romped Utah, changed their season around. Started a 4-game winning streak. USC went 5-1 to finish. That got Clay Helton the job full time. Utah, meanwhile, started a 2-3 slide down the stretch before finishing the season 10-3. Here we are again with Utah unbeaten. USC off to a rough start at 1-2. And Clay Helton trying to come up with the first big win this season for USC, trying to turn that season around. Adoree Jackson, 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown earlier tonight, but he's not touched it in the kick return game since. Won't touch it here either. Stephen Mitchell can fly as well. USC will have good field position. It's the first career start for Sam Darnold. What have you thought? 15-22 for 214.
Look, he's taking care of the football. The ball out of his hand quickly, been decisive with his reads. He's really given his wide receivers an opportunity. When he's run the football, he's taken care of it for the most part. He had one fumble on his way down to the ground. It's hard to fault him for that. He's been effective. He's moved the chains, he's moved the football. That's really what Clay Helton wanted out of his quarterback.
T. Martin, the old coordinator, said right now you can simply do more with Darnold in the game. See what they do with a 3-point lead. They roll him out, turns the shoulders and throws dangerously, knocked away by Justin Thomas. Looking for Deontay Burnett, 2nd down.
You mentioned T. Martin. He told us Sam Darnold's not afraid to throw in some tight windows. That's the other difference they kind of noted between him and Max Brown is he's going to take some chances. He's going to try to rip the ball in there sometimes. Kind of goes back to his days running the scout team last season.
From the 33 on 2nd and 10. Ronald Jones fumbled earlier tonight. Here he can't even get going. Good penetration that time. Filippo Mokafisi, Chase Hansen, Brian Allen all surrounding the football and setting up 3rd and 9 and bringing this crowd alive. for the first down into Utah territory.
What composure by Sam Darnold. He had a guy hanging around his feet, stood there tough in the pocket, found Petit downfield for the conversion. Very gutsy play by Sam Darnold.
And first catch of the night for Petit. Adoree Jackson in the game offensively for the first time. And it looks like Utah.
USC has taken their second
USC.
time out of the half.
So the first time they put Jackson in the game, and they actually use a timeout before they use him offensively.
Well, here's a look at the play that got USC into Utah territory. Utah dials up a pressure. Look at this. Guys hanging on his feet. Tautioli couldn't bring him down. And Darnold's able to hang tough. All that poise for a redshirt freshman. You can see why the coaching staff is so high on Sam Darnold. Able to make these sorts of plays and keep the chains moving. The USC offense.
Play of the night for him right there. There were a couple of Aaron Rodgers comparisons made. Saw a little bit of it right there.
A little longer delivery, but man, he puts a lot of pace on that ball.
From the 44. Fakes it, throws it. Darius Rodgers has a first down inside the 15. It's a 31-yard gain before Marcus Williams brings him down.
And this is just an absolute dime. Darnold sticks it in there again with a lot of pace, but
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 51 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down will be repeated.
Damian Mama, a huge penalty on the Trojans.
well, that's one of the issues when you run these run-pass options, as they call them, because you have a run play called. So there's linemen who are blocking downfield. The key is to get the ball off before they travel too far downfield and break that 3-yard plane, where they then call the penalty. And it looked like Darnold got the ball out of his hand quick, but I think Mama just having to get downfield enough. Let's see 51 working up there on Tautioli. Good catch by the officials.
And the penalty cost the Trojans 37 yards. And part of the story early on this season for them, the penalty issues. This is the biggest one tonight. 1st and 15 from the 49. Ronald Jones back to the line of scrimmage barely. Peter Taumapenu in there with Hunter Dimmick. 2nd down.
This Utah defense is really responding. Kind of playing off their offense after that last touchdown drive.
Program known for its defense. Much of the night USC has had its way with them. 8 yards per play for the Trojans. Shooting themselves in the foot earlier in this game with the 3 fumbles. That play clock winding down. Darnold realizes it. Adoree Jackson joins him in the backfield and takes it. Adoree Jackson crossing the 40. 11 yards on his first offensive touch of the season, and it's 3rd down and 5.
He's got such good vision as a return man in special teams. They utilize him running the football there for the same exact thing. That's why they're able to get within 3rd and manageable, because of Adoree Jackson's vision to find the cutback lane and put them within 3rd and 5.
And you wonder in this range, this in-between range, if this is 4-down territory. Darnold to throw against pressure, lets it fly. Juju Smith-Schuster knocked down by Marcus Williams. And he did not get a very good spot. They give him 2, 4th down and about 3.
Marcus Williams coming up from the middle of the field, reading Sam Darnold's eyes the entire way. He was locked on Juju Smith-Schuster on a crossing route. That's one of the things that makes Marcus Williams so special. Heard Clay Helton talk about him this week as they prepared for Utah's. His ability on the back end to be able to disrupt plays and really be the last line of defense for the Utah defense.
Didn't get enough to consider going for it. So Chris Tilby will punt it to Booby Hobbs. First USC punt of the night is a short one, but it takes a good Trojan bounce to the 6. So Troy Williams in this Utah offense in front of the Muss and a 41st consecutive sellout crowd in Salt Lake, trying to lead a fourth quarter drive. FS1 College Football is presented by Geico. This has been a good one. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Jenny Taft back here in Salt Lake City. And back-to-back touchdown drives for the Utes. They're within 3 and have it with 5:37 to go.
Everything's still in the playbook, plenty of time. Still focus on that running game. Utilize the play action pass. I'd be surprised if Troy Williams uses his legs a little bit too.
From the 7. Start with a pass play. Down the sideline, Raylan Singleton can't get it. Underthrown, and Iman Marshall knocked it away. 2nd and 10.
Adoree Jackson gets a lot of credit. Iman Marshall is a good cover corner as well. See him get a hand in there late. Able to break it up, ball a bit behind. Singleton tried to cut into the football. Marshall talked about the fact that he likes when he knows who Adoree Jackson's going to have, because he can focus more on his opponent, study him all week long.
Back-to-back throws. Another deep ball, and this one not close. Incidental contact. Tim Patrick defended by Jackson. You surprised to see back-to-back throws to begin this drive?
Well, I mean, look, there's an opportunity there. You know, in both cases, I think Singleton was open. The ball was a little bit behind. And a good play by Marshall in that particular case. The ball too far out in front. Usually Williams does a much better job of throwing a more catchable ball and at least allowing Patrick to make a play. Now puts them in 3rd and long. You can almost assure yourself they're going to be throwing again.
Tight end Harrison Hanley motions into the formation, helps block for Williams. Goes to the outside, and pass interference is going to extend this drive. That was the freshman, C.O.C. Wilson, who got tossed down by Marshall.
Pass interference, number 8 is a defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Marshall just came away with a good play before. Look at the one-on-one matchup. Troy Williams going to him the entire way on a comeback route, and clearly Marshall grabs the back of Wilson's shoulder pads and pulls him down. And these are the sorts of mistakes that you just can't make if you're a USC defense. It's what's plagued them so far this year.
So the drive continues instead of USC getting it back with a chance to run some clock. 5:19 left and a first down from the 22. On the slant, on the money. First down to the 35. It's Tim Patrick.
The best part about that play, it wasn't Tim Patrick with the throw and all that. It was the offensive line of Utah. They cut down the defensive line of USC, and it allowed Troy Williams to have an easy passing lane.
The line has done a nice job not allowing a sack against USC so far. Inside of 5 minutes now. First run play of the drive, and Zach Moss finds Porter Gustin waiting for him on a gain of 2. Troy Williams, who grew up in Southern California, rooting for USC, hoping that he could one day play for the Trojans, but USC never recruited him, even though he was a highly touted high school player. Started at Washington, transferred to a JUCO, now in his first year at Utah and trying to beat his boyhood favorite team. On 2nd and 8, scans the field, finds his man along the sideline. It's Patrick again. And it looks like enough for a first down.
These two have been battling all night, one-on-one. Adoree Jackson and Tim Patrick shake off the line of scrimmage. And you see how big Patrick is. and he's just able to get enough separation. He's got such a big catch radius. Troy Williams can put the football up at high points that Adoree Jackson just can't get to.
And they're actually going to measure this. Spot makes it really close. So the first down or third and about a foot. Come all the way over to the other side of the field to measure it.
I just looked at Tim Patrick's night. He's got a couple drops too. His numbers could be even bigger.
Crowd tells you first down, 4:03 to go in a 3-point game.
Utah right now just methodically working the ball down the field. Had the assist from the pass interference by Amon Marshall earlier in the drive. But again, plenty of time. Still running the football, but taking advantage of a lot of soft coverage on the outside in the passing game.
Yeah, 4 of the 5 plays on this drive have been passes, even though, as you mentioned, full playbook at their disposal. Inside of 4 minutes, and on first down from the 45, they'll throw again, taking advantage of the soft spots in the middle of the USC defense. Moiai for 9.
And it just looks like there's Velcro on that football. And Troy Williams is just putting it on the body of his wide receivers, and in that case, a tight end, but very accurate so far.
And they had spotted him what looked like short, and now the far side official will say move him. It is a first down. Williams to throw again. He's got Patrick running behind Jackson, but overshot him.
You got to wonder if some of these missed opportunities from these shots downfield, in this case, it's Troy Williams with the overthrow. That's happened a couple times. Patrick had a couple drops early in their game for big gains, but the types of plays you've got to be able to make. If you're a quarterback, 3 minutes left in the game, give him a chance to make a play on the football.
Troy McCormick comes in at running back, 2nd and 10. From the 44. Well protected again. Tight coverage and incomplete. Jonathan Lockett was called for a pass interference earlier tonight. Here, solid coverage, 3rd and 10. Corey Butler-Bird is intended receiver.
Almost assuredly, this is a 4-down situation here because they're not in field goal range. And even if they had some sort of gain on 3rd down, it's still to be too far for Andy Phillips to give it a try, I would think.
His career long is 53, so they need to get to the 36 to have a chance at that.
If you look at their last drive, they did go for it on a 4th and 1 that ended up in a touchdown. So you got to think that Kyle Whittingham would look to do it again.
Utah is taking their first timeout of the half.
First one used by the Utes, 3rd and 10 when you come back. What a great finish we've got coming for you. Joe Davis and Brady Quinn. Utah started this drive back inside its own 10 on the move, and now looking at a 3rd and 10.
Yeah, 7 passes, 1 run on this drive, really relying heavily on the arm of Troy Williams, and this is probably 4-down territory. I would imagine if they don't pick this up, they're still going to go for it, being that they're out of field goal range.
McCormick motions out, so an empty set, and on 3rd and 10, a late whistle with a flag flying. And it looks like it's going to go on Utah.
Before the snap, false start, number 72 of the offense. Project penalty, 3rd down.
And so instead of 3rd and 10, it's 3rd and 15 with 3.5 left.
USC was looking to bring an all-out blitz. Bowles got a little bit tied up in who his responsibility was. Unfortunately, jumped off the snap a little bit too early.
USC's defense trying to come up with a stop. You get the Trojans to 2-2. On 3rd and 15, Williams well protected. Throwing sideline, close to the first down. We'll see where they spot Raylan Singleton. Yellow line is unofficial.
Well, USC was playing a zone coverage. So now it's Adoree Jackson matched up on Singleton on the outside, and this is purely a timing route. The ball delivered on time, on the money, but not enough for the first down. We find Utah once again in a 4th and 1 situation, too far to take a field goal to tie this game up.
Spotted him just barely short. They've converted both 4th downs tonight. Straight ahead, Armand Shine keeps Utah's hopes alive.
When you've got a running quarterback like Troy Williams, you have to account for him in your run defense. The issue with that is there's just not enough bodies down around the line of scrimmage unless you devote everyone, and it leaves your secondary in one-on-one coverage on the outside. They've been burnt a number of times, so you don't want to put them in that position.
2:20 and counting. Run that play clock down. It's a bubble screen and it's incomplete. Out in front of Butler Bird, 2nd and 10. 2 years ago, when USC was here in Salt Lake City, it was a blackout night as well. USC had a late lead. Travis Wilson led Utah down the field for the game-winning score in the final seconds. Troy Williams trying to do the same here in 2016.
This is where you got to have a short-term memory. You got to flush that last play and that last throw. Very uncharacteristic of Troy Williams on this drive. He's been pretty much on the money.
They are now within Andy Phillips' field goal range. Throwing the slant again. Been riding that route down the field. Tim Patrick sets up 3rd and short.
Well, they ran Armand Shine, the running back, to the flat. Troy Williams pumped, and it actually moved the USC defender to open up the window for Tim Patrick. And once again, Troy Williams put it right on the money.
You saw Patrick comes off of the field. There's the man they call Automatic Andy. Utah would love to see him next on an extra point. Not relying on him to tie the game. 3rd and 1. Williams keeps it. Cam Smith yanks him down. It'll be 4th and 1. Do they kick to tie, or do they go for it?
We saw this in a previous drive. Watch the left side of the screen. Porter Gustin and Cameron Smith do a good job having each man assigned for the quarterback as well as the running back in the zone read scheme. Force the indecision of Troy Williams, and once again, another 4th down. Kyle Whittingham's choosing to go for it instead of trying to take a chance at a field goal.
As it winds inside of a minute. And they go out of the shotgun on 4th and inches. Moss straight ahead. 1st down, Utah. Two seconds. 2 timeouts left for the Utes. 1 for USC.
Really, Utah with complete control of this game. Still 2 timeouts. They can try to take a shot here, or they can be conservative, run the football, and center the ball for a field goal kicker, Andy Phillips.
Out of time running off. Williams to throw. Looking in zone. Lets it fly. And it's caught. Touchdown, Utah! Tim Patrick!
Well, if you're wondering how there's so much separation, watch Adoree Jackson's feet. He ends up losing his shoe, loses his footing. And the ball was again on target, on the money for the touchdown to go ahead.
After a 4th down and 1 conversion, Tim Patrick from Troy Williams A drive that began inside Utah's own 10 finishes with a go-ahead score with 16 seconds.
Troy Williams going there the entire way. Had to hesitate a half second because it was press man-to-man coverage, so the timing's not going to be perfect. There, you can see the separation with Patrick and Adoree Jackson. Adoree Jackson won the push-off. Again, it's hard when you only got one shoe on a slick field in a rainy environment like this. Think Jim Harding's fired up?
I'd say. And right now, heartbreak for USC. It'll be interesting to see where they put Adoree Jackson on this kick return, as Utah will try and keep it away from him.
I would expect a squib. There's no way they're going to allow this football to go in the hands of Adoree Jackson after already having one return for a touchdown tonight.
Andy Phillips. It's a line drive kick taken by Stephen Mitchell. Stephen Mitchell has some room. And USC will have it at the 39-yard line with 8 seconds and 1 timeout.
So here's the scenario. Sam Darnold, the redshirt freshman. He's got 8 seconds and 1 timeout. Here's what they can do on offense. They can take a shot somewhere around the middle of the field, probably no deeper than 20 yards, 10 yards, something like that. They can then immediately call a timeout to set up a Hail Mary play. They could also try throwing a shot for the sidelines, but I would imagine Utah would try to defend the sidelines not to allow them to do that.
Winding those arms up like he's ready to chuck it. 3 players back around the goal line for Utah. Darnold, this is going to have to be it. Darnold scrambling, extending the play. Says a prayer, and Juju Smith-Schuster's got it. He flips it back to a lineman who goes down. Zach Banner held on to it and was tackled to finish it. Utah does it with a 15-play, 93-yard drive that lasted more than 5 minutes.
Unbelievable. Only a 3-man rush, but Utah adds a 4th rusher at the end. That's Taunzioli. And what it does is it forces Sam Darnold to use up all the time. They had Juju Smith-Schuster sitting around the middle of the field as an option to advance the ball to get him closer, take another shot. But because of Sam Darnold wasting so much time scrambling around, it ended up having to be the last play.
We go down into that mess with Jenny Taft.
Well, Coach, it really doesn't get better than this with that comeback and the composure you guys showed in the 4th quarter. What can you say about the team's overall performance?
Well, just great job by our guys. We never flinched, kept playing through good and bad. Troy Williams, what composure he had in those last few drives. Incredible the way he handled himself. Receivers making plays, offensive line, numerous 4th and shorts, converted them all. And defense had enough in the tank to get it done.
What was the biggest difference with Williams? No interceptions and those 2 touchdowns tonight.
He's just getting better and better. You know, he's only had 3 starts with us prior to tonight, 4 total in his college career at the Division I level, and he just continues to get better.
Last year, USC upset you. Does this win have a lot to do with redemption for you guys?
Well, I don't know about redemption, but it's good to get off to 1-0 start in Pac-12 play.
Okay, appreciate your time and go enjoy this.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Guys.
All right, Jenny, they converted a pair of 4th downs on that drive, and they moved to 4-0 for the 4th consecutive season. Right now, we get you back to Rob Stone in Los Angeles.